feeling on the business is that, he's been a disruptor, right? He's a visionary, but obviously, he's done big things, but clearly as a disruptor and a visionary, at times you have to break rules in order to grow your business. And he did that wildly successfully. I think ultimately, what we're seeing here is a company that has changed a highly regulated industry. And long term, I think their biggest issue that they're going to have is at a $70 billion valuation or near $70 billion valuation. They're priced to perfection and hardly a perfect company.
But let me ask you it this way. You read all the descriptions of the discussions going on with the board members, the letter that they wrote, the hours of discussion. If you were an investor in Uber right now, if you were one of those board members, would you have done the same thing and ousted Kalanick?
Absolutely. I think at this point in time, you need a C-suite who knows how to run a company of this size. It's one thing to have a CEO that has a great vision, which he did. I don't think anybody can chastise him for that. But at this point and at this juncture in the life of Uber and the likely IPO that should come at some time in the near future, I think you need to have a C-suite with gravitas that understands how to run a public company.
You have been and have invested in Lyft. So what does this do to the valuation of Lyft? And aren't you effectively cheering on Uber in terms of its valuation? Because doesn't that, pardon the pun, lift all boats in the space?
High tides lift all boats. I don't disagree with that. Although, some of the issues that they've had overseas and sort of taking their eye off the ball in the U.S. has been quite good for Lyft and allowed them to grow into additional markets.
Has Lyft been able to capitalize on Uber's woes here in the United States? I mean, has Lyft gained market share, for instance,
Yes.
as Uber's gone through this?
Yeah, I think that the interesting part about Lyft is depending on the city that you're in, both drivers and customers alike seem to prefer Lyft, I think for a variety of reasons. And obviously culturally, as we saw, I forgot, maybe it was around Christmas time, where Lyft ended up sort of winning a culture battle against Travis, putting a additional fee around some of the issues that they were having at the airports.
Uber, not profitable. I mean, they're losing less money than they used to in theory. But when I look at these companies, when I look at, for example, what Amazon is doing, even when I think about Hollywood and all the money that's getting poured into the content creation that's going on, which is wonderful, you guys, your money is subsidizing cheap stuff. How long are you guys going to do that for? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you guys are, until Uber goes public, there's no exit strategy, right? And until Lyft, something happens, you don't get paid. I mean, you worried that you're just subsidizing all this consumption, then maybe it doesn't pay off?
Well, I mean, you brought up Amazon, and I think that's a good example because they haven't been profitable until recently. So I think it's proof positive that a business can sustain themselves in both the private and public markets not being profitable.